Hi there, Ascanio Pignatelli here, and in this video I want to talk about the energetic self-perception chart. Now, if you've seen this chart before, you know exactly how powerful this can be. This is one of the most incredibly effective tools out there to really understand the differences in the way we can see the world. These are the 7 levels, and each of the level is a perspective. And in each perspective comes a different feeling, comes a different thought, and a different action that comes out of that. If you haven't already seen the videos on anabolic and catabolic energy, I would highly recommend that you take a look at them just to understand that basically the 2 types of energy. Again, they'll give you more detail, but just to recap, anabolic energy is that uplifting, inspiring energy, and it's basically right up here in the highest levels. So at the very core, catabolic energy, down here at the bottom, this is where there's a lot of ego, a lot of judgment, a lot of critical, negative thinking. At the very top is a lot of uplifting, inspiring, motivating, energizing thinking. So the more, as we go from 1 to 7, our level of anabolic energy increases and the catabolic energy decreases. So why is it that these 7 levels are so important? Well, basically, each level offers you a different vantage point, a different way of seeing a given circumstance that will allow you to make a different choice. And the main advantage, people always ask, what's the advantage? Don't we always want to be at level 7? Well, there's obviously incredible advantages of level 7, 6, 5, and the higher levels, just as well as there are at the lower levels, and we'll talk a little bit about those. But the true advantage of having a lot of level 7 energy is that you not only have that perspective, but you have a choice to go to any other level you want. You can go to 6, you can go to 5, you can go to 4, 3, you can choose any level you want. And so being tapped into your full energetic, full level 7 allows you to basically fluctuate or go to a different level or experience something new or just basically decide where is it that you want to act from. So you have a lot of different choices and actions you can take when you're at those higher levels. Again, the opposite is true for level 1. When you're at level 1, you are at level 1 and you have no other perspective. The only thing you see is you're losing and that the world is out to get you and that you are, at the effect of life and life is happening to you. You don't have any choice. You have no power. Life pretty much sucks. And if you've ever noticed that people that are in a depressed state, they have a very, very, very tough time seeing things outside of their perspective. It's very much like a why me perspective. And at level 1, the perspective is I lose. And so when we have that perspective, really the choices we can make are extremely limited. We basically move to avoid pain. That is really what's happening. And so in that victim state, we become very disengaged and we become very apathetic. We just no longer care. Why? Because caring means that it becomes important and pain becomes magnified. So the way we deal with that pain that we're experiencing at level 1 is we disconnect, we disengage, we just don't care anymore. And the less we care, the less painful it is. And that's why a lot of corporations these days in America have a lot of employees that are disengaged. 70% are disengaged in the US alone. Globally, it's 87%. 87% of employees have a lot of that level 1 energy when they show up at work. That's their primary energy at work. They just don't care. They're apathetic, disengaged. And so what happens to their actions, their results? They're lethargic. So what's their output if they're so disengaged? When you're lethargic, it's like going to the gym when you're tired and you're just feeling very lethargic. How are you able to get a good workout in? Right? You're not. It's gonna be a struggle. you're going to have to force the workout. As opposed to level 7, if you're going out for a run in the woods and you're inspired, you're in a new place you've never been before, and you're surrounded by mountains and clean air, and you've got birds and animals in the forest, and there's a stream running by, and you're feeling so invigorated that life is amazing. How's that workout going to go? You're going to be running for like an hour before you realize it, and you're going to be like, oh my God, I better stop or I'm going to be able to walk tomorrow. Completely different. Because now you're in an extremely anabolic state. So level 1 is the victim level. Level 2 is the fighter. So at level 2, we have a lot of anger. Okay, so anytime you ever get angry, you're experiencing a lot of level 2 energy. You have decided that a circumstance or something that happened isn't fair. You got a ticket, a parking ticket, because the meter was broken or expired or whatever, and you ran out of time, and somebody cut you, whatever it is. You feel like you've been wronged, so you become angry. That's how we deal with it. That's the emotion we experience when we think something isn't fair, and so we try to remedy it. And that anger is what bridges that gap. Extremely, it actually does energize us, believe it or not. And so that's the advantage, is that it helps us to actually get certain things done. A lot of pissed off people get shit done because they use that energy to fuel, to basically execute, okay? But it creates a lot of conflict, and in the short term, that can be a good thing. You get the result you want, but in the long term, what happens is that you destroy the system. So if you have an angry boss or an angry president that has a lot of level 2 energy, eventually the administration is going to start crumbling. It's going to start falling apart. People will start leaving. And in the long term, it's completely ineffective. We've seen corporations run by bosses that come in and they have an iron fist and they're like, we're going to do things our way now, and we're going to get rid of this and that. It's our way or the highway. And if you're not happy here, you better be scared, because there's a lot of changes coming, and we want everybody all hands. So there's a lot of that fear that permeates the organization. And initially, I guarantee you it's going to be effective at getting people to move and to do things. But very soon, people are going to start leaving, and they're going to start rebelling, and they're going to start disengaging and disconnecting, and they're going to go to that level 1. Because if they're happy and you come in and you piss them off, they're going to get demoralized, and eventually they're going to leave. So then you're going to have this organization with a lot of anger, which doesn't have anybody there left anymore. All right. At level 2, we have a lot more energy than at level 1. But yet at the same time, it's destructive. And so people that have a lot of anger, they also have a lot of stress. And what happens to their cortisol levels? What happens to their weight? What happens to their health? Catabolic. That's where that word comes from. It's catabolic. It's destructive. So they start to slowly destroy themselves. That is the outside of level 2. So at level 3 now, we then go to forgiveness. We're now in that second circle, okay? This lighter blue circle. And at level 3, that's how you start becoming anabolic. You forgive. So if you have a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, a lot of ill will, if you've been wronged by a lot of people and you're holding a lot of grudges, guess what? You're limiting your ability to perform and succeed. Period. You're limiting your ability to have quality relationships with the people that you want in your life. You're limiting your ability to have the finances, the success, the body, the health, the spiritual well-being, all those factors. You're limiting that because you have all of this catabolic energy. And then until you release it, it's going to be eating away at you. It's going to basically be slowly digesting your soul. So you want to be intentional about it. You want to truly forgive and understand that people did the best that they could with the tools that they had at the time. Even if they were complete assholes and they did some really bad stuff to you, okay? In their world, they were coming from a level 3. They were thinking about it in their terms, like, how do I win? And they don't know any better. So you having a grudge that's limiting you isn't doing you any favors. You're actually doing, if they're true assholes and they want to, you have something against them or and they against you, then you're actually doing them a favor by holding that grudge. You're You're buying into that. You're giving that person that power. And until you reclaim that power through forgiveness, by letting it go, you're going to be a victim and a fighter. And those aren't really powerful places to be, because you're not going to be able to get the results you want. You're not going to feel the way you want. You're not going to be able to think the way you want. If you want to look at those higher levels, joy, passion, you're not going to get there if you're stuck in apathy and anger. You just won't. So start with forgiveness and start having more compassion for those people. Rather than hating them, have some compassion. Say, man, I feel sorry, dude. Must really suck to be an asshole. Thank God it's not me. Thank God they're the assholes, not you, right? Because being an asshole really sucks. It really sucks. I know, I used to be a total asshole. And I was miserable. Man, more miserable than anything I can imagine. And the day I started to forgive and to have a little more compassion for those around me, those people that make mistakes, all the people that I had grudges with, that I hated, that I had problems with, when I started to have more compassion and had more concern for them, my transformation exploded. I mean, that is really the essence of the transformation. It's growth. And it comes through, a lot of that comes through compassion. So with that compassion is because you're no longer thinking about yourself. You're thinking about something much bigger. So the moment you're able to shift your mind from being focused on yourself and your own well-being only and start thinking about other people, magic starts to happen. And this is where leadership really happens. True leadership starts at level 4. And the best leaders are the ones that are constantly focused on other people, focused on a greater good, focused on a higher purpose. And they're out there to serve. You know it when you meet them, because they're there to help, to make a difference, to be a positive stand. They're not out there anymore for themselves. They're not out there to win. They're there to make the world a better place through whatever they're doing. They're there to serve. At level 5 now, we're talking about like entrepreneurs, great entrepreneurs, or great creative people that are able to have a win-win perspective, and that are constantly looking for how to make the world a better place by, not just changing something, but fixing a problem that nobody's ever thought of. They don't just see problems, they see opportunities. So at level 5, it's really about reconciling. It's about finding a way to fix a situation and get some benefit out of it. And the perspective here is one of acceptance. We're no longer resisting. It's the opposite of level 2, because at level 2, it's about defiance and it's about conflict. It's about fighting everything that's going on. At level 5, it's about acceptance and not resisting. And it's not that you tolerate and basically say, okay, the world, there's poverty in the world and I'm totally going to accept that. But it's not letting that thought or that situation impact you negatively, that you feel completely powerless and angry and like a victim and just horrible because of that. It's like, yes, you can still do that work, but not to get too overly emotional about it. At level 6, we start to really get into the outer realms of anabolic energy, and it's really, we're transcending here. Our egos are basically becoming very small. Our identities are, we're no longer really thinking about ourselves. Our perspective now is that we're already all winning, and basically that this universe is this incredible gift that's been given to us, and that everything is here for us, to support us, to help us along our own evolutionary journey, and that we're all completely interconnected. And when we have that level 6 energy, when we feel connected to other people, when we sense that connectedness, when we understand that there's a higher purpose and that we're all here in this beautiful thing called life together, we experience an incredible sense of joy, and we are really tapping into the highest levels of energy, and that we become so powerful that we almost become untouchable. and unstoppable. And the results come effortlessly, unlike my ability to say that word. All right, and at level 7, then we basically, this is where we tap into our true passion. Whenever you're doing something that you absolutely love, what happens? You lose track of time. You lose track of, there are no more thoughts. If you're scuba diving and you're looking at the most beautiful reef in the world and it's full of teams of fish and life and sharks are swimming around, and I mean, you're just in this amazing place. You don't think about the problems on the surface, like your taxes and, you know, bills that you have to pay. You're in this world, and at level 7, you're truly in the moment. You are completely present. You are connected to everything and everyone, and in that moment. And that is where creation happens. When you're able to tap the highest levels of energy, you're able to create. When you are excited, enthusiastic, and passionate about a project, it's going to go so much better than is if you were completely apathetic about it or defiant about it or resisting to it. So those pretty much, ladies and gentlemen, are the 7 levels of energy. Each of them have advantages and disadvantages, and we could go on for hours and talk about every single one and how we work with leaders at level 1 or 2, or what happens when people are too much in level 7. And in the future, we will talk more about these levels. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button on the video. Leave me a comment, love some feedback, and please share the video if it resonated with you, if you got something out of it. The more people that understand these levels of energy, I think the better the world's going to be, and it's going to make a much better place when we start to have a little bit of perspective, a different perspective that actually empowers and inspires us to be able to choose the way we want to respond in the world. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you perhaps on a webinar or sharing some great information in future videos. Bye now.